As tensions continue to simmer between Beijing and Washington, the U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan and Chinese top diplomat Yang Jiechi held a candid meeting on Monday to discuss an array of issues concerning both nations. The talks mainly focused on Beijing's veto move at the United Nations on the U.S.-led push to impose more sanctions on North Korea. U.S. has raised concerns that Pyongyang might be preparing for its first nuclear test since 2017 and that it could happen at any time. The meeting between Jiechi and Sullivan was nearly 4.5 hours long and took place in Luxembourg. Now, according to U.S. officials, Sullivan has expressed concerns over North Korea's military threats and how U.S. thinks that Washington and Beijing can work together in this to resolve the crisis. A White House statement said the discussion between the officials was candid, substantive and productive. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken said on Monday that Washington will maintain pressure on North Korea until Pyongyang changes its nuclear program. The meeting between Sullivan and Jiechi comes at a time when Washington and Beijing is witnessing straining ties in regards to diplomatic relationships. Both the sides have clashed over everything from the South China Sea to Taiwan's autonomy. Washington and Beijing have also been at loggerheads over the ongoing Ukraine war, with the U.S. accusing China of providing strategic core support to Russia. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehran is joining us live from New York. Susan, good to see you. Some would say this could perhaps be a mending of ties between the United States and China. Is that so? What were the major takeaways from the Sullivan and Jiechi talks?
Right. You know, critics and many argue that despite these talks, time and again, it has been proven that China is really not interested in quote-unquote mending ties with the United States or the rest of the world that really adheres to liberal democratic principles. These talks, remember, come at a time when on Sunday, China's defense minister vowed that, quote-unquote, China would fight to the very end to stop an independence bid by China. And those comments came just shortly after Joe Biden, when he was in Japan, also mentioned that the United States would come to the defense of Taiwan should Taiwan be attacked, albeit that the White House sort of walked back those comments because they were not in line with America's decades-long policy of strategic ambiguity. These talks, the White House says that were in line with Jake Sullivan, once again reiterating that the United States is really on the watch out to see Beijing's coercive and aggressive actions against Taiwan, how far they're going to go. They want to really pressure China when it comes to supporting Russia in its war against Ukraine. But on the other hand, they want to make sure that there's, quote unquote, no misunderstanding in lines of communication. So they want to keep these lines of communication open between the two countries because the situation is so tense. Remember, Antony Blinken also recently said that China is, quote, the most serious long-term challenge to the international order. So in terms of mending of ties, it might be a stretch, but I think, it was important for these officials, at least from the United States point of view, to have this discussion for the United States to express where it stands. As far as China goes, the bar is so low that we'll wait and see, what actions it wants to take next.
Live from New York City, Susan Teherani, thank you very much. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.